Koenig. I'm with American Friends of Magen Dovid Adom. Before we start, I'll ask Josh Bliscoe to sing for us the two anthems. If I can please ask everybody to rise. Thank you so much.
It's going to be tough here.
Come on now. There's not enough room there.
Okay. All right. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light that so proudly we hailed that the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Call on B'Alema, B'Nehima, Nefesh Yehudi, Homiyah, Ulefahatei Mizrach, Tadihima, Ayin L'Tzion, Sophia. Olam Dadik Vateinu, HaTikva Bat Shnot Alpayim, Leo Samchavshi Be'artzeinu, Eretz Zion Yerushalayim, Leo Samchavshi Be'artzeinu, Eretz Zion Yerushalayim.
You may be seated. Welcome, everyone. It's such an honor to be here today. As I said, my name is Sam Koenig, representing American Friends of Magen Dovid Adom. Before we start, I want to also recognize Gary Pearl, who is my predecessor. Gary was very much instrumental in making the shidduch and making it happen. So we're very lucky to have him here with us. Thank you, Gary. Gary, would you like to say a few words, if you don't mind? Okay, great.
Thank you. Just for the record, it was the Utopia board that made it happen, not me. So I just wanted to thank the Utopia board of directors, and of course the Kehillah that approved it. So each and every one of you have had a major role in donating this ambulance. B'Shus Rabbi Hirtz, just want to thank Rabbi Hirtz and the Torah Center for allowing us to be here. Beautiful shul, beautiful background. So it's a wonderful place to have it, and I think Dr. Block and I really felt very strongly that the one place that should have it is the place for our longest serving rabbi and the last rabbi of Utopia Torah Congregation. So thank you, Rabbi Hirtz. Also, nice to see you. Where is she? There she is. Okay. Just a few words. I know when we were outside, a number of individuals were asking, where does the ambulance come from and how does it get there and what's the, background with all that. So all the ambulances from Magen Dovid Adom are manufactured. These, I think, are Chevrolets, right? Sometimes they're Fords, but generally speaking, they're Chevrolets. And they're assembled in a place called Elkhart, Indiana, where there's an assembly factory for ambulances, not just from Magen Dovid Adom, for cities and countries from around the world. The ambulance is made out of the specs by Magen Dovid Adom. What you see outside is a basic ambulance. It's intentionally not a big truck like the Chevra Hatzalah in Queens, because in Israel, many of the streets, as you all know, are much more narrow. So the ambulance has to fit the streets of Israel, so they're intentionally made to scoop up the patient and bring him to the hospital as soon as possible. Has all the equipment that's needed. There are some larger ambulances for different purposes, and there are also smaller ambulances, what we call half-tracks, that are basically small jeeps that go through the streets of Yerushalayim. Next time you're in Yerushalayim, you'd like to see them, you can give us a call and we'll let you know where you could find them. It's near the parking lot. It's near the parking lot of the old city. You'll see 2 or 3 spots where the little half-tracks are on, so the ambulances go up and down the steps and all that. Once the ambulance leaves here, the ambulance, they still go to Port of Baltimore, right, Sam?
Yes.
Okay, so they go to the Port of Baltimore, and at Port of Baltimore, usually every month there's a shipment, and it's complicated. It's not a situation where, we're gonna raise money for 1,000 ambulances and send them to Emeritus. It doesn't work like that. There's a place in Israel called Chatzula, it's south of Cologne, and all the new vehicles are incorporated as part of the fleet. So, do we know where it's going yet, Sam?
Where it's going to be located?
Yeah.
Not confirmed.
All right, so sometime in the next few months, MDA will most likely take an ambulance out of service and put a new ambulance in. All this is done for a couple of reasons. First of all, there's only a maximum time an ambulance could be in service. It can be, I think, more than 10 years. That's Knesset law. And Magen Dovid Adom, by the way, while it predated the country by Eretz Israel by over 25 years, it existed before there was an official Israel. The ambulances are all incorporated and then sent to different places throughout Israel. The Knesset Magen Dovid Adom law of 1950 deems Magen Dovid Adom responsible for all emergency and blood services in Israel. And so unlike certain other Good Samaritan first responder groups in Israel, Magen Dovid Adom has to respond to every emergency in every city, in every town, in every small location. That's the Knesset law of 1950. So therefore, it has to have a fleet throughout the country, including motorcycles and motorbikes, and of course, 2 helicopters, one in the north, one in the south. So this is an integrated fleet that works together and responds to any emergency call in Israel. And of course, the number is 101, the emergency number. Once the ambulance arrives to Israel, by that time we'll know where it is. And Sam, Mr. Koenig, the regional director, will be getting updates from time to time. Everything is computerized. So my guess is wait 6 months after it arrives to Israel. Mr. Koenig will be sending you an update, I guess through Sana, Dr. Block, of where the ambulance is located. And then 6 months later, we'll be getting updates. All emergency updates. It's a breakdown of all the emergencies. Your particular ambulance will be saving lives. One particular thing I always enjoyed when I was with American Friends of Magen Dovid Adom was always tracking, I think there was all the ambulances, there were probably over 600 ambulances working in the Northeast region over a span of 10 years. But I could see which towns have the largest percentage of baby deliveries, you know? And I would play this game sometimes with Michelle. I say, guess which town has the largest percentage of baby deliveries in Israel? Can you guess? No, it's not even in there. Beitar in leaders number one. Come on. Beitar leaders number one. And number two? But B'nai Brak isn't even in the top 10. What you say? No, it's too small. Bet Shemesh. Bet Shemesh. Right. So I always enjoy seeing those. So you'll be getting those statistics. Anyway, so that's basically it. I guess, I don't know, anything else anybody would like to know before I sit down?
Yeah, how much is a helicopter?
A lot. Helicopter is actually donated by a helicopter company in Israel, but we do have to cover the first responders. And the helicopters also save a lot of lives. I do want to add two things, at least one thing, that I think is appropriate at the moment, and that is because of October 7th, and I know we all have family in Israel, and many of us have either children or grandchildren who are in the IDF, and we're all very concerned. Many of the Magen Dovid Adom first responders obviously go into the IDF. Actually, we've had a grandson who was a first responder for Magen Dovid Adom. Now he's he's in the Gavati, but he's not doing first responding in Israel. He's actually a full-fledged soldier. Ozzy, you remember Ozzy when he was a baby? But unfortunately, Magen Dovid Adom lost quite a few first responders. And last time I saw the figure, it was, I think, 17. 20. That was the last one. So 20 Magen Dovid Adom first responders, volunteers who serve in the IDF, unfortunately, were killed since October 7th. Okay. And a number of years ago, there was a group in Hebron. So I'm not going to go into this in detail because you have a Dr. Eli Bennett who's actually done it, and we'll tell the background about the strong kesha between Magen Dovid Adom in Israel and Chevra Hatzalah of Queens and Greater New York. And his story is a fascinating story. So I think we're very, very, very fortunate to have Bennett here. I want to thank him for taking care of Bennett's office. I think that's any other questions before I sit down?
Just wanted to add that Magen Dovid also does run a milk bank.
Yes. How do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know that?
That's my.
Really? Have you been at the milk bank?
No, I never.
Sam McCall. Right. We found out years ago that babies that are born prematurely, the mother's milk is not always the best milk for the baby at the time, and a mixture of different mother's milk. So we created a milk bank, which used to be in Jerusalem, but I think it's now at the new Blood Services
They just
Center.
built a brand new building, which we toured last time I was there.
So you're going to speak about
It's
it.
not in the speech,
I said
but
enough.
That's not in the speech, but
I think that, but right. So we established the milk bank, and of course the National Blood Center. You'll speak about the Blood Center also.
it's not in the speech. I only had 10 minutes, I was told.
I want to thank you all so much. And
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Gary. Thank you for sharing. So I will, a few words I will say before I invite the rabbi to come here as well. And that is, as Gary mentioned, Magen Dovid Adom is an integral part
of Israeli society. And I experienced it firsthand when we took a mission of 21 individuals from the northeast area 2 weeks ago to Israel. These who are supporters of Magen Dovid Adom. And we realized that in every single interaction we had with anyone, whether it's with the generals, whether it's with the families of hostages, whether it's the families who have been evacuated from the north, is that Magen Dovid Adom comes up all the time. And I'll give you an example. We met with the parents of Vital. Adi Vital was a 32-year-old woman who basically works in Kibbutz Cholit. When the terrorists came, she heard them coming. She was alone with a 4-month-old and a 4-year-old. And she called her husband 5 minutes before to get a refresher on how to use the gun. She shot the terrorist and she saved the 2 kids. And when we met with the parents, they told us that the 4-month-old, if it wasn't that the 4-month-old had the milk from the blood from the milk bank. And so just to give you an example how Magen Dovid Adom comes up all the time, no matter who you speak with. So this was very touching for us, but also obviously for the supporters of Magen Dovid Adom. So Gary spoke about the ambulance, and the other thing that I want to include is that when the ambulance arrived, your ambulance arrived, another text will be added to the door, and you will see afterwards the door where we say Chinuch Kol Beis Yisrael. So that will also be added to the door of yours. So
what did you say? What would be added?
we're talking about what
Achenu Beis Yisrael.
Oh, Achenu Beis
Achenu Beis Yisrael. Yes, exactly. You know, I'm here shul. I'm not a big Talmud Chacham, but I promised my wife I'll say a little bit. So basically, in the upcoming Sefer Vayikra, we read the famous mitzvah of Ve'ahavta lecha kamocha, and also Lo tamod al dam arecha. Do not stand idle by while your neighbor's life is in danger. Supporting Magen Dovid Adom aligns exactly with these principles and the importance of saving human lives. In Sanhedrin, it says, one who saves a single life is considered as if they saved the entire world. Your support of Magen Dovid Adom plays a pivotal role in the saving of hundreds of lives in Israel every single day. Without further ado, Bechavot, Rabbi Hirtz.
Howie, introduce the rabbi. Howie, please introduce the rabbi. Thank you.
Morning, everybody. On behalf of the whole shul, the Torah Center of Hillcrest, I want to welcome everybody for coming. And Rashakaya to all the members of Utopia Jewish Congregation for 3 things. First of all, for giving the ambulance, which was an unbelievable present. Number 2, we got a piece of the action too, so we're very appreciative for that. And above all, we got Rabbi Hirtz for coming more dasa much. So thank you very much. You okay? Without further ado, I call Rabbi Hirtz.
Thank you, Al. Good morning. I'd like to thank everyone for coming, celebrating this very special occasion. I'm honored to have been asked to address you this morning, and the ad said that went out in the shuls that I saw that Rabbi Hirtz would be officiating. So I have a confession to make. I've officiated at weddings. I've officiated at funerals. I've officiated at brisim and pidyon haben and other auspicious occasions, but I have never officiated at an ambulance dedication. And I'm not really sure what that entails. So please bear with me for a couple of minutes. Yesterday, we finished reading the book of Shmos. Parsha Pekudei. The last chapter describes how after the construction of the Mishkan, it was set up and ready to go. It's in business. The Torah tells us, Vayichas ha'anan es ol moed, uchvod Hashem malei es ha'mishkan. The cloud covered the tent of meeting, the ol moed, and the glory of Hashem filled the Mishkan. And the next pasuk says,
V'lo yachol Moshe lavo el Ol Moed. Moshe could not enter the Ol Moed. Ki shachan olav ha'anan. Because the cloud rested upon it. Uchvod Hashem malei es hamishkan. And once again, the glory of God filled the Mishkan. The cloud covered the Mishkan. God's glory filled the Mishkan. Yet there was a limitation. Moshe could not even enter. Moshe couldn't go in. And Rashi's bothered by that. Rashi points out that it says later on in the Torah, Rashi quotes the pasuk, that when the cloud rested on the Mishkan, he couldn't walk in. But the cloud would rise, it would dissipate somewhat, and then Moshe was able to enter to converse with Hashem. Why did the Mishkan need a cloud in the first place? And how did a incorporeal, insubstantial cloud inhibit Moshe? How did the cloud manage to keep Moshe out? Clouds are very flimsy substances, as we fly through them all the time. But in effect, unless we're in the air in an airplane, they're beyond our ability to reach or to touch. So what does the cloud represent? The cloud represents our aspirations, our goals, our dreams, our visions beyond the immediate and the material. We even say, even in English, someone is in the clouds. We mean he's all theory, he's all dreams, without any real substance, without a connection to reality. Conversely, there are people who are so enmeshed in this world, in the physical, they can't see the clouds. They can't look above them. They have no vision. They have no goal. They have no plan. They never see the clouds. In life, we want to be realists. We want to be pragmatic. But we also want to be in the clouds. We want to be able to define what we live for and then implement that in the real world, in the here and now. So without clouds, we're just plugging away aimlessly. But with the clouds, on this earth, we're dreamers, we're schemers, we're able to do things. And that's what the Mishkan is telling us. That's the idea at the end of the parsha. Mishkan says, it's not just a monotonous place of worship where you come in and bring a korban or you pray. It had to be concealed in a cloud. Because everybody has to realize there's always something that's maybe unattainable, but you have to strive for it. You have to reach for it. The cloud enables us to grow in holiness and kedusha, the consciousness of God, the knowledge of Torah and the pursuit of mitzvahs. And even Moshe could not enter the cloud when the cloud covered the tent. Because Moshe is teaching us that you have to fuse, put together the real and the ideal. But when the cloud lifted, Moshe could enter. Because he's showing us that that vision, fusing it together, putting it together, is what life and what the Mishkan in life is all about. The Mishkan personified a physical edifice that housed the Shekhinah, a tangible structure which was the home of the divine. In effect, that's what an ambulance is. It's a very expensive piece of equipment whose goal and purpose is in the clouds to save lives, to help others, for survival, for preservation. Ambulance is such a critical element in our day and age, especially, as was mentioned, after October 7th and what's going on. It's the fusion of the earthly material that was put together in Indiana for the purpose of a greater good. And in reality, I have to say that the Utopia Jewish Center embodied that ideal as well. In the more than decade and a half that I had the privilege of being associated with Utopia, the vision of the members, many of who are here this morning, was always the greater good for the community. Not only with the obvious Torah and tefillah, but what was best for the Jewish community. To be Mekadesh Shem Shamayim, to represent Torah Judaism, to exemplify what it means to be a committed Jew in the 21st century. Our goals were always in the clouds, seeing how we could better ourselves, better our neighbors. But nevertheless, we always kept our feet on the ground. We were aware of our obligations, the sense of our personal and communal responsibility to be the bridge between heaven and earth. So I am proud to have served at Utopia Jewish Center, and I am just as proud that the Utopia Jewish Center felt that providing an ambulance for Magen Dovid Adom is the appropriate way to continue its ideals, its values, and its principles. The noble legacy of UJC is one that we all can be very proud of.
I would like to present you with this plaque. It says here, this award is presented to the Utopia Torah Congregation, Utopia Jewish Center, in appreciation for your generous sponsorship of a Magen Dovid Adom ambulance and helping to save lives in Israel. As Gary Pearl mentioned to us, that we have a very important strategic relationship with Chevra Hatzalah. And we're so lucky that today we have with us Dr. Bennett, who after October 7th went to volunteer as a representative of Chevra Hatzalah Queens and Great Neck to Eretz Yisrael through Magen Dovid Adom. Dr. Bennett.
I am a general physician as well as an emergency room doctor for over 20 years, and a member of Chevra Hatzalah of Queens since 1999. Again, not so young. I was asked a few years ago what separates a Hatzalah guy from a regular guy. In typical Jewish fashion, I answered this question with a question. I asked, if you hear an explosion, what do? Do you run away from it, or do you run towards it? My friend looked at me like I had two heads. I run away from it, of course. I looked him in the eye and I said, that's the difference between you and me. I run towards it. I can't help it. That's what I do. On October 7th, our lives were changed irrevocably. All of us were justifiably scared. In America, we felt helpless. But there were those among us that rather than running away from the danger, were desperately trying to get to Israel. Even on Simchas Torah, we were on our phones the whole time trying to activate the HEART team. What is the HEART team? The Hatzalah Emergency Response Team. It was the brainchild of a few members about 25 years ago, came up with this idea that Chas v'Shalom, if there would be a war in Eretz Yisrael, and Magen Dovid Adom members would have to join the army, Magen Dovid Adom might need an infusion of manpower. So 25 years ago, guys were sent on the first round, a couple of rounds, to send to Eretz Yisrael to train with Magen Dovid Adom to forge this relationship between not just New York Hatzalah, but America Hatzalah with Magen Dovid Adom. We never really imagined this would be needed. Yet later that week, the first HEART team was deployed. And after that, 5 successive teams of doctors, paramedics, and EMTs were sent to Eretz Yisrael to help. Help with extra bodies on the ambulances. Help with bringing in material supplies. Help with giving chizuk, moral support. I'm grateful to have been part of Team 2. I was in the second round of people that went, and not 14 days after the terror attacks, we were on our way. No clue we were getting ourselves into, but knowing that we absolutely had to be there. The sight of 12 of us getting on an El Al flight with a few $100,000 of equipment was clearly reassuring to any passenger, even thinking about a medical calamity on that flight. We landed, we had a lot of questions about that. Who are you? And this is the flight, you can have something, do it here. We landed at 7 a.m. and hit the ground running. We were taken directly to the MDA headquarters in Yerushalayim. We spent 8 hours getting brought up to speed on the differences between the Israeli medical system versus the American ambulances, protocols, medications. Seems like it's the same thing, but it's really not. Metric system, not metric system. A course that would normally take a few weeks, we somehow did in 8 hours. I've been involved in emergency medical services my entire professional career. I even served as the director of EMS at JFK Airport for almost 10 years. The professionalism, expertise, and precision of that day of training at the MDA headquarters was impressive. The fact that we were treated like long-lost brothers made it the start of a wonderful experience. The next morning, we all piled into the van, and we were dispersed throughout the south: Ashdod, Ashkelon, Sderot, Kiryat Gad, Malachi. I'll never forget how halfway down the highway down south, our driver told us to put on our helmets and bulletproof vests because there were still some terrorists running loose. Boy, that was a reality check real fast. We weren't playing games anymore. And as we pulled into my station in Ashdod, I heard the sirens for the very first time. We looked up out the windows, and we saw the Iron Dome doing what it does, saving lives. But we were stuck in the back of the bus because the driver had gone inside to fill out paperwork and we couldn't get the doors open. I calmly watched everybody else running towards the bomb shelter and couldn't help thinking that we're going to die well before we start our mission. Of course, the driver made it back and we got inside the bomb shelter. To everyone else, this was routine, and within about a minute or two, everyone just walked out. They say to wait 5-10 minutes, 60 seconds, everyone's out the door already. And we were sent to set up our sleeping quarters. Now, I'm almost 50 years old, and I've been married for 27 years. It's been quite a while since I shared a room with anyone other than my wife. But here I am setting up a military cot in a classroom with 10 other guys. We had 2 showers for over 50 people. Dorm life was fantastic as a teenager, but I was really rethinking my decision right around then, what I get myself into. Before I had even had a chance to voice my doubts, more sirens went off. We went back into the bomb shelter, and then immediately were sent out on the ambulances to check out the landing sites of the rockets. And that was my routine for the next 7 days. Some periods of boredom, punctuated by sirens, followed by what happened next. On one call, we showed up after a rocket, and a lady was bleeding from her neck. My partner, not knowing what to do quickly, just put his fingers on the neck and stopped the bleeding. We walked her calmly onto the back of the ambulance, transported her to the hospital with my partner's fingers on her neck, just like that. Walked her straight to the operating room. Baruch Hashem, she did great. Also quite surreal was hearing the sirens while driving through neighborhoods while not being near a bomb shelter. They tell you, get out of the car, lay down on the ground. I can tell you that laying on that ground, hearing sirens overhead is not an experience I'm gonna miss. To quote my partner, if a bomb hits you while you're laying on that ground, that vest is wearing you for protection. But most of what we did was routine, or I should say routine for ambulance guys. We had cardiac arrests, arrhythmias that needed to be stabilized, car accidents, a few strokes, and I even had almost delivered a baby, but Baruch Hashem, we got it to the hospital in time. We cruised through downtown Ashdod daily, splitting up the town into grids so that everybody was closer, so that when those rockets landed, we can get there as fast as possible. We talked to soldiers from various units. We met with commanders only a few weeks earlier, who were doctors, lawyers, computer engineers, software developers. We got the word out that the American Jews cared about them, loved them, supported them. Friday night was surreal. A small percentage of our base was religious, so we went to the local shuk, the market in Ashdod, and ordered a ridiculous amount of food. As soon as we finished making kiddush, however, a hush fell over the entire MDA base as the senior commander of the entire southern region walked in and went up to the front of the room. You could hear a pin drop. He announced that night, in 2 hours, the IDF was going in on a ground assault in Gaza. We should all stop what we're doing, go to the ambulances, get our helmets and vests. We should sleep in our clothes with our shoes on that night and be prepared for anything. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was 100% sure I was gonna die that night. I wasn't afraid of dying, but I was afraid of what my family would have to go without me. But we ate the Shabbos meal. We sang for hours. Boy, did we sing. Imagine this scene, the religious with the non-religious. I think we have a bunch of non-Jews singing with us. The roar of the IDF jets soaring overhead, dropping bombs. And with each bomb, our building was shaking. And we're singing, and we're singing. And each time we heard a bomb, we cheered while davening for those soldiers to come home safe. I don't think I slept more than an hour that night. But when the morning came, we were alive, and the day was actually quite calm. I was sad when my tour in Ashdod ended, and although most of my team went back to America, I actually went to work up north in Sfas in a hospital in emergency rooms. I spent the next few weeks there. In those weeks that followed, I really missed the camaraderie that I developed at the MDA base. And on a rare day off, I actually drove down south and went back to my base. Hugs, kisses, high fives abounded as we had forged friendships by the fire of a war. That is the DNA of MDA. They are the consummate professionals, putting their lives in danger every day. And as we know, some personnel from MDA were killed on October 7th, and as mentioned, many since then. I'm sure you all know the word nebuch. You hear some bad news, you sigh. You say nebuch, but what does nebuch mean? It means nosed ba'ol chavero. It means to feel the pain of your brothers and sisters. I've been asked how many Ukrainians have gone to Ukraine since their war started. The number's pretty close to 0. My understanding is that over $1 billion, this is back in December already, was collected from America, just like you guys did. $1 billion have been sent to Israel to help. And there's a waiting list of over 10,000 doctors, nurses, therapists that are trying to get into Israel to help out. That's what nebuch means. That's what we do. And there's a meme that was circulating in that first week of the war. It was a non-Jew asking me, do I have any relatives in Israel? My answer was yes. I have 3 million brothers and sisters. Magen Dovid Adom is a brotherhood. It's comprised of men and women, Orthodox and non-Orthodox, Jewish and non-Jewish. But just like El Al is a piece of Israel, and I feel pride every time I fly El Al, Magen Dovid Adom is the medical backbone of the country. Their white and yellow ambulances are ubiquitous. White being the BLS, yellow being the mobile medical intensive care units. Their members are professionals whose mission is to serve the country and help the citizens. On our last day, they told us that we're always welcome back, and a few members of my team have actually gone back and done shifts since we finished our tour. No one forces us to. It's pride. It's pride to put on this uniform. It's pride to have the association between Hatzalah and Magen Dovid Adom. I went to Cafe Roma on my second day in Ashdod to get breakfast. The cashier wouldn't take my money. I was in my uniform. They treated us with the same respect that they treated the soldiers. Now, I've never equated me with the soldiers. To me, soldiers are the highest level of hero I can possibly imagine. But the respect I saw in people's eyes while wearing this uniform was pretty amazing. To be part of an organization such as MDA and Hatzalah, one mission, help Jews. I will forever be proud of. It's an honor and privilege to be here today. I appreciate and thank you for letting me speak to you. With Hashem's help, we will win this war. Yachad Nenatzeach, Am Yisrael Chai. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And with that said, I'd like to invite everyone outside for the official cutting of the ribbon. Thank you very much.
Oops, sorry.
Yisrael v'golo b'reichas medinas Yisrael reishi smichas gulaseinu hagen aleh b'ervas chastecha f'rosala sukkah shlomecha ushlach orcha v'mitcha l'rashel sareva yotzeh v'sachnem b'ezo tovim ufanecha chazek es yidei b'ginei eretz kachena v'anchilem Eloheinu Yeshua v'ateret v'tzachon ta'atreim v'nasat shalom b'aretz v'chas olam yoshveha v'esachenu kol beis Yisrael v'solichenu mehera kamamius l'Tzion yirecha v'Yerushalayim mishkan shemecha ככתוב בשורת משה עבדך אם ינידך בקצה השמיים משם יקבצך אדוני אליך משם ייקחך והביאך אדוני אליך לארץ אשר יושרה אבותיך וישתה והיטיבך והרבך מאבותיך ומול אדוני אלוהיך את לבבך ואת לבב זרעך לאהבת אדוני אליך בכל לבבך וכל נפשך למען חייך ויחד לבבינו לאהבה ליראה שמך ולשמור כל דברי תורתך ושלח לנו מהרה בן דוד משיח צדקך לפדות מחכה קץ ישועתך והופע בהדר גאונותך על כל יושבי סביב ארצך ויאמר כל אשר נשמה ואפו אדוני אלוהינו מלך ומלכותו והכל משלה אמן סלה מי שברך אבותינו אברהם ויעקב ויברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל ואנשי כוחות הביטחון העומדים על משמר ארצנו וערי אלוהינו מגבול הלבנון ועד בדמar מצרים ומן הים הגדול עד לבוא הערבה ובכל מקום שהם היבשה באוויר והים ייתן אדוני אלוהינו את שריפינו מהקמים מעלינו נגבים לפניהם הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור ויציל את חיילינו מכל צור וצוקו מכל נגע ומחלה וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם ויד ברצוננו תחתיהם ויעטרם בחסד ישוע ועטרת ביטחון יגרם בהם הכזאת כי אדוני אלוהיכם עליכם לכם יילחם לכם ויביכם להושיע אתכם ונאמר אמן.
On a road show.
Forget it.
Is anyone else who's staying with him?
Dr. Block, would you invite people to
Only women in Queens. That's all. There are many women that went.
Doctor?
anybody else?
Dr. Bennett?
So what we're thinking is go on the other side of the ribbon, can get under that, and then we get the ribbon in the shot, we get you in the shot. Who else is in there? Beautiful.
Gary, where are you?
I want to be able to see your plumums.
Should I schneid or what?
On the other side.
Schneid, cut away, baby, cut
Are
away.
you in there?
Rebbe, watch your
Cut away. Mazel tov. Let's open it up.
Let's open the doors, open the doors.
All together, come together. Come together, come together.
Come closer.
Yeah, the scissors are scary.
With the door, with the door.
Get it away from me, Ellie. Not down
One,
there.
two. One more, hold on. Let me see what I got. Oh, we're getting it. Okay, one more. I want to be able to see Utopia, so move a little bit this way.
Yes.
Move a little bit this way, guys. Okay, yeah, be on either side of it. That's great. Good.
Yes.
And you with the scissors, you're Vanna White. Give me that. Okay, good. I gotta get this shot, of course. 1, 2. Good, thank you. Okay, 1. I'm almost there. 1, 2. Everyone get closer on this side. Yeah, there you are. Beautiful. What a great shot, and the smiles are happening. Everyone got it?
Yeah.
Mazel tov, mazel tov.
Where's Dr. Bennett? Doctor, come here, man. Come over here.
Rabbi.
It's on the back of the driver's seat.
Well, that's where it's supposed to be.
Oh.
So watch this. Part of my back. Watch your step.
Tehillim?
What do you think this is? Exactly right.